What is up, y'all? We are here for week 2 of the MBC. This week we are up against 6 Foot Hacks and his Carolina Hacksaurus. His information will be down below in the description. Please go check out his channel and give him a subscribe if you don't already. Um, yeah, so I've never battled 6 Foot before. Not super familiar with his playstyle or anything like that. So this should be a fun and interesting battle because really going into this, not super sure what to expect coming up from him. He does have a pretty spooky team. So we'll get into that in just a second, but I did just want to kind of give y'all a quick update on where things are looking like as far as like standings and stuff go. I know it's still super early, but I just like to keep track of this throughout the season. I'm a very like analytical, numerical person, so I like to see the numbers and talk about them. We are 0-1 -1. Honestly, not terrible. The fact that we were able to like bring it back and like keep the diff only to 1 against Ellie last week, I feel like I took that as like a small little personal victory. Really mitigated the damage, we're not too far out of this, right? To start, if we win this week by more than 1 difference, then we're net positive. So really like optimistic going into this week. We are 7th in Malice out of 12 coaches. The top 6 in each division. There's a Malice division, and then the other division's name is escaping me. Days. It's Malice and Days. So I'm in the Malice division, sitting 7th right now. Outside looking in, but again, a win against 6 Foot Hacks with a +2 differential or better, I think will probably jump us up to at least 6th place at the end of the week 2 standing. So let's see if we have a good matchup here, right? Let's go ahead and get that up on the screen for y'all to take a look at. He has a Deoxys Speed, which is always a little spooky and difficult to prep for. It can perform a lot of different roles, so really gonna have to make sure we are doing a good job scouting that out. Ting Lu is really annoying to break through. Tornadus can be annoying to break through as well as just like an offensive threat, obviously. Jirachi can be a lot of different things. One of those mons that are just really difficult to prep for. Urshifu Rapid Strike, you know what to expect going into a game against Urshi. So luckily we do have one of the better Urshifu checks in Slowking, so I'm not super worried about Urshi this week. There's a Tentacruel, a Terra Chinchino, a Terra Sinistra, which I think is probably the more likely of the 2 to come to this match, Magneton and Clefairy. So looking at this team, some of my initial thoughts, we got to come up with a good way to like break through Ting Lu plus Regenerator Mon, along with potential like support Jirachi. Those are like the first things that come to mind. However, I do think I have a couple really good angles to take advantage of in this matchup. So let's talk about what I plan on bringing. The first I am super excited about is our one of our new additions to the team, Probed the Cacturn, who will be taking the spot on our world card. This Pokemon did so great for me in Mox. So it's just the Focus Sash. It's a Focus Sash counter lead, which shouts to Nexus for styling on me with that, with a Dio speed in the last season of PPL, because I directly took inspiration from that for this set. I really like this as a dedicated lead. Let's look at the things that he could potentially lead with. He could potentially lead with a Dio. If that's the case, we just click knockoff. If he's not Sash, he probably just dies unless he's like Cobra. I guess there is a chance he could be like a Cosmic Power Weakness Policy set. That would be a little spooky, but we're Focus Sash, so I know that 2 knockoffs are going to kill, even if it's Cosmic Power. So I think that will be okay. Obviously he can recover and stuff, but like he has to attack us, right? We have a Focus Sash. He's got to attack us twice to like kill us. So And if it's stored power, he can't touch us anyways. So like, I really like this lead. Also, if it's like a Tinglu, we can taunt so he can't get up hazards, and then we can get up our own hazards with spikes. If it's a Tornadus, I will almost guarantee he clicks U-turn. That same goes for like an Urshifu lead. Probably lead clicks U-turn, and then we get to click counter and just kill whatever comes out afterwards. Also, there's a potential for like a lead Jirachi or a lead Sinistra. On either of those, we can just knock off. So I just think this is a really, really good lead into this team. It should claim one if we're lucky, and also if we're smart about it, we can get spikes up. Like if we're able to kill one thing and get a layer of spikes up with this, then Cacturne has done a phenomenal job for us. Like that's all we're hoping for from this 1-point Pokemon. Our next is Perseverance. Perseverance this week is going to be in a pretty similar role to what it was in last week. It is going to be Earthquake, Ice Spinner, Knockoff, Rapid Spin. Not going to be getting hazards up with this, but we are going to use this to spin away hazards. I really, really wanted to try and fit rocks on here, but I just feel like his ways of shutting down my potential, like, I don't know, I thought this gave me a little bit more, like, offense, and Aqua Berry will let us, like, live a Heat Wave from Tornadus, and we can knock items off and be annoying, and we can get big damage off on Ice Spinner, because there's lots of things on this team that don't like Ice Spinner. And Earthquake kind of hits everything else pretty good, so I just thought this was the best set for this week. Is a bit of a support role, but also with a little offensive pressure. Next up is going to be Space Pope. This is going to be Space Pope's first battle of the season, making their season debut, and it is going to be our dedicated Urshi check. It is Regenerator with Rocky Helmet. It has Psychic Scald, Thunder Wave, and Chilly Reception. I mean, it's not... We didn't get super crazy with this. It's basically max defense. It's not quite max defense, but it's pretty close. It's basically just max defense, max HP, and that's so that it can just like switch in on Urshi. I know it gets coverage, it gets Thunder Punch, it gets U-turn, but I don't care. This is going to be a very quickly played game. I plan on putting a lot of pressure, and this game should not be more than like 20 minutes. This battle should not take more than 20 minutes. I am going to be hyper aggro, and like I don't plan on Slowking stalling anybody out. He's going to come out, he's going to like get chip off with Rocky Helmet, and he's going to put things in range of other things. And like let's get into that, because our win cons for this week are pretty flexible. The first I'll talk about is Quasar, which will be Terra Fighting. It is actually Choice Band. This is intended to be a breaker. It can one-shot. It can just one-shot a Tinglu. It can just kill a Tinglu. If it's not max Fizz Def, I just one-shot with like a standard Choice Band close combat after like layer spikes. But if it's max, I can, and I'm able to scout that, I can actually still kill if I Terra Fighting and just click close combat. Also, there is a realm where we find ourselves in a position where we can just Aqua Step Moxie Sweep. So this is a potential win con, but it's really in more of a breaker role this week. Also making their season debut, and I'm extremely excited about this, is Frostmoth Europa. I fucking love this Pokemon, and in all of my mocks, it just like dunked on people. Frostmoth is so unimposing when you're like looking at like a matchup like sheet, and you just don't really... People tend to disrespect it. I'll just put it that way. People tend to disrespect this Pokemon, and with Terra Ground this week, once we get +2, and Sinistra, by the way, is setup fodder. Sinistra is 100% setup fodder against this Frostmoth. The only way that it doesn't work for us is if it's like Stun Spore, but I don't anticipate seeing like a Stun Spore Sinistra. But it is 100% setup fodder, and if we get 2, if we're able to get just 2 Quiver Dances off, we win, assuming Urshifu is not Aqua Jet. If we're able to confirm that Urshifu is not Aqua Jet, and we're able to get this in on a Sinistra, like my goal going into this battle is to bait the Sinistra so I can just go right into this, click Quiver Dance twice, and try to win. If like I kill something and then he goes hard Urshi, that telegraphs to me that it is Aqua Jet, and then I can just go into Slowking because he's forced to click that, otherwise he just loses to my Frostmoth. But like we find ourselves in a position where where like it either breaks through really effectively, or it wins if there's no Aqua Jet and we can get 2 Quiver Dances up. So that's what we're gonna be looking at for this. I'm really hoping we can just sweep with this. But you know, I wasn't able to do that in all of my mocks. I was in 1 or 2 of them, but not all of them. And finally, we're going to bring this, which is kind of in a similar role as the Frostmoth, right? Like, it's just like a Dragon Dance set with darts, Phantom Force, U-Turn. We are actually going to be clear body this week. The reason why we are clear body is so we can't get Strength Sap from a Sinistra. It is Colbur Berry because if he brings Tentacruel as a spinner, we can still block spin, and if he tries to click knockoff to punish us, then we just eat that, and then we can set up on it because knockoffs from Tentacruel aren't actually doing that much to us. We can actually live 2 of them comfortably with our Colbur Berry. So that'll give us a chance to Dragon Dance and try to break through things. Dragon Darts hits most things on the team extremely hard. The things that it doesn't hit hard, we can at least click Phantom Force into. And we can always just fire off +1 U-turns as well, which like won't feel good. So this Pokemon, like Frostmoth, is here to break, but in the right situation can just sweep in, be my win con. So basically, we're just looking to put ourselves in a position to either win with Dragapult or Frostmoth. That's the plan. And if we find ourselves in some weird situation where we can just lock into Choice Band Aqua Step with Quabble, we can win that way too. Like, this team has flexible win cons and breakers. And I think that's really the way I like to build my team most, is where I don't have to like fixate on one specific win con, because what I found I do is something will happen RNG wise, and then my like dedicated, like my predetermined win con is no longer feasible, and then I tilt and don't think clearly about all my win cons, and then I lose. Whereas when I go into the battle and I'm like, all right, I can win this way, and this way, and I just try to figure out, you know, the best way to position myself to win one of those ways, I'm usually way more successful. So hopefully we can do that going into this battle. And there will be another video essay at the end of this video, since y'all seem to like the first one about the moon. So stick around if you want to check that out as well. And yeah, we'll be right back for the battle. Okay, we are here for the battle. Battle time. We're searching. Battle time. Gonna be a battle time. Alright, good luck, have fun to 6 foot. Hopefully there are no hacks. And let's see what we got here. Yeah, I mean, we're always leading Cacturn. The Cacturn's the dedicated lead, so let's just lock that. Let's go ahead and lock that in, right? Cacturn is the lead against literally anything. Like, we do not care what you are leading. Cacturn is always what we're leading. Cacturn has answers for everything. So they have Dio, Torn, Sinistra, Urshifu, Inglu, Rachi. Okay. This is pretty much what I expected, right? This is pretty much what I expected. This is the team. Okay. Dio lead. Alright, well, he could do so many things. And we're just gonna click knock, because unless you're Sash or Colbur, you just die. I was really hoping he'd lead with a U-turn spammer, so I can do the old turn 1 counter, but we'll take this. Beautiful. Beautiful. He really wanted those rocks. He really wanted those rocks. He was willing to sacrifice his top tier just to get some rocks up. Cacturn already doing wonderfully. Cacturn already doing wonderfully. We have so much health. We have so much health. We could literally come in on Tinglu later and get spikes up. And that's DOS and spikes for Cacturn. That's amazing. Yeah, we don't leave this out. There's a chance we could live a U-turn depending on what kind of Tornadus this is and pick somebody else off with another U-turn or with a counter, but I don't want to risk this being like physical and just killing me, or him just being aggro because I just took out his Dio and just clicking like Bleak Windstorm. So we'll just go into a space poke here. We'll just play it safe, right? We'll just go into the poke and see what he wants to do. Maybe he'll click U-turn and take some Rocky Helmet Chip, which he'll immediately regen off. Whatever, who cares? Okay. I don't think that's physically offensive based off the damage that U-turn did. So I probably could have left the Cacturn out there and clicked counter and then killed another thing, which would have been hilarious. It would have been absolutely hilarious. It's okay. It's all right. We still got the Dio, and we're gonna get our spikes up as soon as he goes into Tinglu. So, which he might go Tinglu right now. He could go Tinglu right now. Please be Sinistcha. Okay, Hershey. I mean, you're not killing us with anything, right? I think I just Psychic, because, like, what are you just gonna... I mean, he could Trailblaze here, but, like, then you die. So, I'm a little confused why he goes Hershey here, but it's fine. We just click Psychic. I don't want to overthink this. We were at 266. That's 173. He did 173. I think that might be like expert belt based off the damage. Yeah, maybe. Well, he went Ting, so I go into Cacturn now and get up my spikes. What you gonna do? Get up rocks? Probably get up rock or spikes. Probably spikes. Or even EQ. EQ. But we eat that up, right? We eat that up, and now we get up our spikes. He can't kill us, which is hilarious. I could taunt here to stop him from getting up his spikes, but I'm just gonna click spikes because he probably switches out because he probably thinks I have like a big grass boot. He doesn't want to take that damage on this thing. Otherwise, my Dragon Ball can just win. So doesn't want that to happen, I'm sure. Who do you go into here? That's the Torn? Yes, the Torn. Okay. Alright. Spikes are up. So, Cacturn in Cacturn's debut, she gets a kill on the Dio and a layer of spikes. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. We don't care what happens to Cacturn now. You've done great. That's fine. You can U-turn. We're the one getting momentum here. Yeah, because now you have to go into something, and I get to react to that. So we actually get momentum here. If it's offensive Torn, then one Dragon Dance is all we need to break through that with Paul. We just need some chip on the Tinglu. We just need chip on the Tinglu. And since we know this is Expert Belt, we know it's not Scarf. He did 173, so we should be good to go into Slowking here. He can't kill us with a U-turn. Even after chip, I think he needs to high roll. And we live a Trailblaze. It might make more sense to go Pult here, but I think I'm just gonna go Slowking. Slowking came just for this. That's literally the only reason it's here, is for this, so... Ugh. He might be able to kill us with a U-turn. Maybe. Maybe. With a high roll. Well, Thunder Punch always kills us. Yeah. Alright, alright. Well, Slowking's dead, but... So you have U-turn and Thunder Punch. Probably Surging Strikes in either, like, Close Combat or Drain Punch. Right? So I don't think this has Aqua Jet, and it's not Scarf. Which means we might be able to win with Frostmoth here. We might actually be able to win with Frostmoth. We just need to bait out the Sinistra somehow. But for now, this can't touch us, right? Because if you're Surging Strikes, Close Combat, U-turn, Thunder Punch, we just Dragon Dance for free here. There's no way you're Surging Strikes, Ice Spinner, Thunder Punch, U-turn. That's gross. Yeah, see? He didn't even click U-turn there. Well, we know we outspeed, and he has to respect me being like Specs or something, so he's got to switch out. So yeah, he always has to switch out there. But I get my Dragon Dance for free. This can't kill us, right? Even if you click knock here, we're Colbur, so we live a knock easy. And there's a chance this is offensive, and it just dies to Dragon Darts. We're gonna find out. Yes, it's offensive. Beautiful. That's so good. Okay, well he just gives us Torn, so Torn gone. Massive threat, fucking gone. Dio and Torn are both gone. We are +1. What are you going into right now? Okay, so he goes into the Team Lu. So we can't kill with Dragon Darts here, but we can get a massive +1 U-turn off, which will put this in range of Dragon Darts later. So I think we click U-turn, and then the next time Pulp comes out, it just wins. Pretty much. Sinistra is Terra Fairy. So there might be it might get kind of interesting with a Phantom Force, having to kill it with a Phantom Force. So we might actually need a little chip on the Sinistra before we can actually win with Paul. So let's try and focus on that for now, right? We need a little chip on Sinistra, and then Paul wins. Okay, we eat that up. We click flip turn. You can't leave this out. Hopefully this baits the Sinistra, and then we can go Frostmoth. And honestly, go for game. We could go for game. We could click Quiver Dance and try to win. Yep, there's a Sinistra. Honestly, that might be in range for Phantom Force now. Anyways, a +1 Phantom Force. But it doesn't matter, because we're going to go into Frostmoth, because this is setup fodder for Frostmoth, unless they brought Stun Sport. But they didn't bring Stun Sport. No one runs Stun Sport Sinistra. That's weird. So we are just gonna go into Europa, and we're gonna fucking Quiver Dance and just go for game right now. We're either going to break through something, or we're going to win. Okay, he hard withdraws. What is your answer for this? Sergio. Jirachi. Okay. Well, this must be bulky Jirachi then. Might be like Shucka. Could be like Shucka. But that's fine. We can live a hit. We can basically live one of anything here. I do have to Terra, but I just Terra and Quiver Dance again. I just Terra and Quiver Dance again, and then I kill on the following turn. +2 Terra Blast, unless this is like Shock, I should always kill. Alright. It's time, y'all. It's Frostmoth time. Gosh, I love this Pokemon so much. One of my absolute favorite Pokemon. Oh, he's Scarf. And he's... okay. Okay. That's actually... that's super sketch. That's super sketch. Do I go Quack here? Do I go Quack? No, I think I try one more time. I try one more time. If he gets the flinch again, then I go Quack. We broke through. That's it. That's it. That, unless he has Aqua Jet, I think we just win now. Unless he has Aqua Jet, I'm pretty sure we just win. A Scarf Jirachi is not living a +2 Terra Blast. You're dead. Okay, so if he goes hard Urshi right now, then we know he's Aqua Jet and we just go Quaquaval. And we click Flip Turn, Banded Flip Turn. We'll be slower, so it'll be a slow Banded Flip Turn. He goes Sinistcha. He doesn't have Aqua Jet. And you're not living, you're Terra Fairy. This is Terra Fairy. I already mentioned that. So you're not living a +2 Ice Beam. You're just not living a +2 Ice Beam. In no universe. Even if you're Terra Fairy. He doesn't even bother. He doesn't even bother with the Terra. It didn't matter if he Terra'd or not. He was always dying to that. Yeah, and we got the Gleam for you. Probably could just click Terra Blast, but I'll show off the Gleam. That's it, y'all. That's a good game. Good game to 6 foot hacks. I said in the builder that Frostmoth could just win. That this could be a Frostmoth week. Look, Frostmoth was so criminally underrated in the tiering. Like, I'm gonna let him know. I'm gonna let him know about Terra Frostmoth. Don't you worry. Beautiful. Alright, that's how you bounce back from a week 1 loss. That right there is how the fuck you bounce back from a week 1 loss. We gotta do Europa for the post-game essay, so stick around for that. But good game to 6 foot hacks. Feels really good to bounce back after that week 1 loss. And I'll be back shortly for the little video essay. Alright, so in honor of our wonderful Ice Queen picking up the win for us this week, you know that we have to talk about Europa.
This was so much easier than I thought it would be.
So, a heads up to start. This one will be quite as weird as the last one. There isn't like any alien shit. This one's like a lot more just... There are less like unknown theories and like weird bizarre shit, and it's just like just cool facts about Europa. There are some theories that we'll talk about, but there's like no crazy moon-based theory.
I'm not crazy! Ah!
Now, like I said, there are some fun and interesting things to talk about still. So let's kind of get into those. So Europa is one of the 4 Galilean moons of Jupiter. Also the smallest of the Galilean. She's just a cute little thing. Just kidding. She's actually the 5th largest moon in the entire solar system out of 288. So actually a pretty big moon. Just the smallest of the Galilean moons. And of those 288 moons, by the way, 95 of them belong to Jupiter. So Jupiter by itself has 95 fucking moons. It's like a giant, like, moon hoarding celestial beast. Jupiter is just insane. But in case you didn't know, the Galilean moons are the 4 largest moons of Jupiter, and as you probably guessed, were first discovered by Galileo Galilei in like the early 1600s. Now, Europa, when you take a look at it, is completely covered in a thick layer of ice. Surface temperatures range anywhere from 110 Kelvin, which is -160 Celsius or -260 Fahrenheit, to 50 Kelvin, which is -220 Celsius to -370 degrees Fahrenheit. it's really fucking cold. Like, that's the point. It's just fucking frigid. It's very, very cold. Due to something called tidal heating, the ice underneath the surface is actually believed to have melted and contains an ocean. And I mentioned this in the draft analysis, but the ocean underneath that ice is estimated to be anywhere from 2 to 3 times the amount of water in all of Earth's oceans combined, which is insane because, as a reminder, Europa is very small when compared to planets. It's smaller than our moon. It's much, much, much smaller than Earth. So the fact that this tiny little satellite could have 2 to 3 times more water on it than all of our big blue, like, planet, that's crazy. That's crazy to think about. I mentioned tidal heating. So tidal heating is when the satellite of a planet is literally being stretched in different directions due to the gravitational pull of the host planet. So what's happening essentially with Europa is, as it goes around Jupiter, it has a mostly circular orbit, which is uncommon. Usually planets have more elliptical moons usually have more elliptical orbits. This one does have a more circular one. It is tidal locked, which means the same side is always facing Jupiter, which is uncommon as well. That is also similar to our moon, though, for Earth. But as it goes around Jupiter, it is getting pulled by Jupiter's gravity, and it's getting like, it kind of like squishes. What it's basically doing is like, it's creating like tidal activity and like tectonic activity underneath the ice. And it's like warming the inside of Europa, which is melting the ice and creating these massive oceans. Now, due to this tidal heating, and this part's really cool to me, many scientists believe that the equator of Europa is actually formed into this like crazy belt of super tall ice spikes, like these 15-meter high ice spikes, just all over like the equator. It kind of reminds me of like a Sonic level, you know, the big spikes that Sonic can like fall on and lose all his rings. Like, when I think of Europa now, I kind of think of Ice Cap Zone from Sonic 3. So my new headcanon is that like at the end of Carnival Night Zone, when you get like launched out of the cannon, you're just getting yeeted into space all the way to like the moon of Jupiter. It's really funny to me to think about. Now, aside from those previously mentioned spikes, Europa's surface is very smooth when you compare it to other moons in the solar system, because, you know, moons are constantly getting just pelted with debris and just like random shit floating through space. So, like, if you look at our moon, it's just covered in craters. If you look at most moons, it's covered in craters. But if you look at Europa, Europa's pretty smooth, relatively speaking. Now, you do see like these series of crisscrossing cracks and streaks. This is actually called chaos terrain. There are a few schools of thought that explain why the surface of Europa is the way that it is. The first being that the surface is still relatively new. Cosmically speaking, it could be anywhere from like 10 to 20 million years old, which is pretty young, and that might explain why there's not a ton of craters all over Europa. Another potential explanation is that when the debris impacts with Europa, it's just crashing right through a thin layer of ice. And then it's just freezing right over the top, and it just looks brand new again. Another potential explanation is that there are these cryovolcanoes all over Europa, which just shoot and spew water vapor everywhere. And what's happening is it's like spewing this water vapor, and then it's like basically refreshing the surface. It's just like a big spewy mess up there. Yeah, okay. So I'm getting worked up over the spewy mess. Let's talk about the cryovolcanoes a little bit more, because this is actually where things get really interesting. So in 2012, the Hubble Space Telescope took a picture of Europa that appeared to include a massive plume of water vapor. And then they kind of said, oh, look, it looks like there's shit spewing all over the place. Oh, based off of our measurements, this is approximately 120 miles high. It's spewing water vapor 120 miles into the air. That's 20 times the height of Mount Everest. That's insane. So that would explain why it's so smooth, because it's just spewing this water and it's just refreshing and it's freezing over and it's just making this very smooth looking terrain. These plumes consist of hydrogen-oxygen mixtures. After conducting studies of Europa's atmosphere, scientists actually noted that we're not able to account for all of the oxygen that's being spewed by these cryovolcanoes, which means it's likely being absorbed into the surface, which could lead to the development of life. Now, scientists do believe it's very possible that Europa has some simple single-celled life in the oceans right now. Now, we're not talking about like complex life. There aren't like fish or like giant like plesiosaurus like swimming around underneath the surface. It's most likely like bacteria and single-celled organisms, stuff like that. But that's still a big fucking deal. That's like the building blocks for life. That's like what you need to like evolve into more complex life. So that's very, very exciting. Now, there has been very little exploration of Europa done up to this point. We've done a number of flybys with multiple space probes that just kind of snapped pictures and gathered some data on the way by. But the most intensive exploration was from the Galileo space probe, which orbited Jupiter for 8 years and was meant to specifically observe Jupiter closely, as well as get some flyby information from the Galilean moons. Now, we do have some exciting stuff to look forward to the future. One thing that was actually launched back in 2023 is the Jupiter Icy Moons Explorer, or JUICE for short. Now, JUICE will conduct another flyby of Europa, but the main focus of JUICE is actually to study Ganymede, which is the largest moon of Jupiter. It should reach Jupiter around 2031. Now, this is the one I'm excited for, is the Europa Clipper. This was also launched, but this was launched this past October, like a month ago. This was just launched. And the Europa Clipper is meant specifically to go to Europa. It'll orbit Jupiter, because it can't just orbit Europa, because the thing about Europa is it's in this really dangerous, like, radioactive area. It's like in this really crazy magnetic radioactive belt in Jupiter, and we can't really send anything there because it just gets destroyed by like the magnetosphere and the radiation. It just gets destroyed. So we can only do like short flybys to gather information, but it's meant specifically to get very low altitude flybys of Europa, and it should be able to conduct 45 of them, which will allow us to gather tons of scientific data and imagery of Europa, unlike anything we've ever collected before. Now, the cool thing is the Clipper should reach Europa in 5.5 years. That's early 2030. That's an entire year earlier than JUICE will reach Jupiter, despite being launched a year later, because space travel is incredibly complicated and really weird. In fact, I would like to just rant about how complicated space travel is for just a second. Do you know how space travel works? You don't just look up into the night sky with a telescope, like, oh, let me see where Europa is. Oh, there it is, and just shoot a rocket at it. It doesn't work that way, because in case y'all forgot, I mentioned this last week, Earth is moving through space at 67,000 miles per hour. All the other planets are also moving very fast through space, through the infinite vastness of space. We're just zipping through space right now at insane speeds, and we want to just launch a rocket to a fucking planet that's super far away. It's crazy to think about. Additionally, we do not have the rocket power to actually send something to Jupiter. So even if we were like, okay, let's do some super complex calculations here to kind of predict, based off of Jupiter's orbit, where we need to shoot a rocket at, and hope that we're able to get the rocket to this location at a very specific time where Jupiter will be there and be able to just yank it into its gravitational pull. We don't even have the rocket power to send something there that way. We have to use the gravitational forces of Mars and Earth. So basically what we're doing is we're launching the Clipper to Mars. It's going to get to Mars. It's going to orbit Mars and pick up speed, and then we're going to kind of launch ourselves back to Earth. Then we're going to pick up more speed as we continue to orbit Earth, and once we've picked up all this extra speed from these two additional orbits, then we can launch ourselves out to Jupiter. It's incredibly fucking complex, and I mean, this is literally why the phrase, oh, this isn't rocket science, except this fucking is rocket science. This is literally rocket science, and this is why rocket science is incredibly fucking complicated. Space travel is insane. Anyways, NASA is currently also working on a Europa lander, something that could actually land on Europa. But as I previously mentioned, due to the spikes that they anticipate being all over the planet and the insane amounts of radiation, we just don't have the technology right now to really create something that can survive. We do think that it'll be possible, and if NASA could get the funding, we could potentially make something that could do it. But what the plan is for now is to get the Europa Clipper out there, gather the scientific data we need, get close-up pictures of the surface, and then we can really figure out what we need to make a lander that can feasibly land on Europa and then drill into the ice to explore the oceans below. And if that ever happens in my lifetime, I will be absolutely fucking thrilled. That sounds so cool, and that is just something that I really look forward to. In fact, 2030 can't get here soon enough because I just cannot wait for the Clipper to arrive and get all those beautiful pictures of the surface of Europa. I want to see what that looks like. I want to see what a surface full of like 15-meter ice spikes looks like. That sounds metal as fuck. Honestly, it sounds really cool. So that's it for Europa. I hope you enjoyed learning about Europa, because I enjoyed learning about Europa. So hopefully y'all enjoyed it as much as I did. I will catch y'all back here next week for week 3 against who is an extremely good coach and has a very, very terrifying team. We do not have a good matchup. We have a very, very bad matchup, actually. So I am not looking forward to prepping for that, but I'll try to cook up something spicy, and I'll catch y'all back here for week 3. Bye.